Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the First United Methodist Church here in downtown Greeley. It's so thrilling to see a packed house tonight. My name is Nick Kenny. I'm the CEO of the Greeley Philharmonic, and you are in for a treat tonight. We've had this performance twice already this week, one in Windsor and one in Fort Morgan, and we're so thrilled to be able to present this show to you here tonight. So strap in. We're going to get on the sleigh and we're going to ride together. Please help me welcome to the stage our conductor for this evening, Dr. Ken Singleton. Well, we covered 90% of the holiday songs out there, so enjoy the rest of your holiday season. Oh, I'm just kidding. Welcome to the 13th annual Christmas Brass by the Greeley Philharmonic Orchestra. My name's Nick Kenny. I'm the CEO of the Greeley Philharmonic. I'm also your host and MC for tonight's entertainment. The piece you just heard is Leroy Anderson's A Christmas Festival, published in 1950 in versions for both band and for orchestra. In case you didn't recognize all the Christmas carols, they were Joy to the World, Deck the Halls, Good God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, Good King Wenceslas, Hark the Herald Angels Sing, Silent Night, Jingle Bells, and O Come All Ye Faithful. Now, Ken wrote this script, so I have to talk about him now. For 24 years, Ken was the principal conductor of the Denver Brass. For much of that time, he was also their chief arranger. A Christmas Festival is one of several selections on tonight's concert originally arranged for that ensemble and more recently adapted by Ken for the Greeley Philharmonic Orchestra Brass. The first GPO Christmas Brass was presented in 2009. In addition, that's what, 11 BC before COVID? 11 BC. In addition to performing in the First United Methodist Church here in Greeley, last year we added the First United Methodist Church in Windsor, and just on Thursday we've had our first ever, as far as I know, sold-out performance with the Greeley Philharmonic in Windsor. Let's hear it for the GPO and all you wonderful music lovers out there. And I know we would have sold out tonight if we weren't competing with so much other great entertainment in town. We're going to work on that for next year so you can have a full week of concerts and not have to pick and choose. But we are so grateful you're here with us tonight. And as I mentioned last night, we went all the way out to Fort Morgan, and luckily most of the roads were entirely clear, and I had a wonderful audience there too. So you're in for a treat. We're so grateful that you're here sharing this experience with us tonight. Our next piece is Lo, How a Rose Ever Blooming. Air blooming? I've heard it both ways. Along, well, they're the same. A little hyphen there for the E-E-R. Along with 4 wonderful symphonies, concertos, chamber music, and songs, towards the end of his life, German composer Johannes Brahms wrote 11 works for organ. These pieces are based on earlier Protestant chorales. Brahms' setting of Lo, How a Rose Ever Blooming is especially beautiful and contemplative. Enjoy. Our next piece, Sonata Vespertina, translates to Sonata for the Early Evening Service. Pavel Yosef Vavinovsky. 3 nights I've had a chance at that. I was only 1 vowel off this time instead of several the other night. Pavel Yosef Vavinovsky is that rarity, a fine classical composer who was primarily a trumpet player. His sonata for the early evening service was written in the late 17th century for 2 trumpets, 3 trombones, strings, and organ. It is a beautiful piece, and it sounds especially thrilling in the acoustics of the First United Methodist Church. Enjoy. Our next piece is the 12 Days of Christmas. Andrew Kasdan was a classical record producer known primarily for his recordings of the New York Philharmonic Orchestra. He also wrote a few pieces for brass, the most well-known being the 12 Days of Christmas. Originally written for 6 brass, Ken has expanded it to 11 players and a conductor. Well, that doesn't really count on stage. The more, the merrier. They played all 12, right? Were you counting? I lost track at 5. Our next piece is Away in a Manger, arranged by Keith Snell. When Keith Snell was asked to make a brass arrangement of Away in a Manger, he found that there were at least 3 tunes set to the same text, even if 2 of these are quite similar. Rather than pick his favorite, Snell decided to include all 3 in his arrangement. Listen closely, because we're going to ask you which version you liked best. Away in a Manger. Did you have a favorite? Tell me on the way out. The last couple nights, the most common one that people enjoyed was the one played on the baby tuba. They called it something like a euphonium, but that's not a real word. Dan Watt on the baby tuba. Our next piece is one of my all-time favorite holiday pieces, Sleigh Ride, which I think is the only piece in the history of music, and that's a big, bold statement, that is equally as good as a vocal piece and as an instrumental piece. I'd welcome any challenge and discussion afterwards at 477 Distilling, one of our co-sponsors for the season, to debate that topic. But Sleigh Ride was written by Leroy Anderson, one of the most popular composers of the mid-20th century, mainly known for his light classical or pops music. Many of these remain popular to this day. He felt inspired to write Sleigh Ride during a heat wave in July 1946. Doesn't that sound nice right about now? And he ended up finishing the piece in 1950 when the heat wave ended. Although originally written for orchestra, Anderson also made versions for band as well as piano. There can be no doubt that the sleigh in question is horse-drawn, and the slapstick imitates the crack of the whip. Our all-star whipper?
Call it whipping boy.
Whipping boy is our bass trombone player, Kyle Lauer. Enjoy Sleigh Ride. Kyle will be doing a whip signing after the performance, so if you brought your whip, he'll be happy to sign those after the show. Can you believe they took that part away from me? I got to play that last year, but Kyle, I taught you everything I knew. They did have auditions. Our next piece is the last of our first half of this program. Is by Justin Williams. It's called Songs of Joy. Songs of Joy was originally written for band, but Ken has adapted it for the Greeley Philharmonic Brass. This piece is based on two well-known classical works, Johann Sebastian Bach's Jesu, Joy of Man's Desiring, and Ludwig von Beethoven's Ode to Joy from his Ninth Symphony. This is an absolutely thrilling piece, and we know you're going to enjoy it. Our last piece before intermission, Songs of Joy. We're renaming that Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree for next year. Folks, we're going to take our intermission. If you need to use the facilities, they are right behind this wall. We'll see you back here in about 15 minutes. Folks, you having a good time? Hold on. Let's try again. Almost. Okay, now it's live. Folks, you having a good time? The poor people in the back didn't know why we were all clapping, but I appreciate them joining along, so thank you. We've had a little adjustment to make up here for a moment, but as I was chatting with some folks outside at intermission, they said, Nick, I had no idea that in Sleigh Ride, that horse whinny was made from a trumpet. Who knew that before coming into tonight? Just a handful. Well, some fun story about that. Orchestras across the country used to use live horses in the orchestra until about 1957, where a rogue horse went a little crazy in the New York Philharmonic. So ever since then, it's been played on the trumpet. I believe it's in the script, Ken. I said that last night in Fort Morgan, and they all whipped out their phones and were scrolling and Googling Horse Whinny Incident, New York, 1957. All is well. Well, folks, again, I appreciate you being here tonight. We're just touching up on a couple more things. But we'd like to recognize our sponsors for the season. Without them and without the generous donors that we have, and, of course, ticket revenue that only covers about 30% of our annual operating budget, we wouldn't be up here. So our season sponsors, UC Health, 477 Distilling, McDonald Toyota, and Edward Jones, Brian and Kim Larson. Can we give a round of applause for our wonderful season sponsors? And then two gentlemen who love this concert more than most, generous sponsors for this particular concert, Christmas Brass. We have Dale Boehner with Signature Stone and the Wheeler Family Foundation. Round of applause for our sponsors. All right, and back to the story. Actually, you know what? Let's just welcome Ken up. I'll talk afterwards. A little parched. Dr. Ken Singleton. You may notice that every now and again we separate the brass into two groups. Legally, we have to. They're cause trouble when they're around each other for too long, so we had to build in the intermission and then make sure they remained apart for a few moments longer. Now they're back together. We hit that union time slot perfectly, so thank you for allowing us to do that. But in reality, this is common and started by choral music of the 16th to the 19th centuries, when many, perhaps most churches had two choir lofts, usually located on opposite sides of the organ. Therefore, much of the choral music of the time was written with this separation in mind. Many modern churches continue this tradition to good advantage. We honored that tonight with several of our pieces. That piece was called In Dulci Jubilo by Michael Praetorius, and he was a highly acclaimed German composer and organist active in the late 16th and early 17th centuries. You was your college roommate? Yeah. I know when I dish it, it's going to come right back, so at least I have the microphone, though. You may have noticed how similar early brass music is to choral music. Indeed, the vocal quality of the brass, especially when played tastefully, as they're doing, shows more similarity to voices than does any other group of instruments. Next up is Farandole by Georges Bizet. For our next selection, we're going to shift gears and challenge the brass to take on the virtuosity and excitement of me and a full symphony orchestra. I don't know what the bigger challenge is, Ken. The Farandole from Bizet's L'Arlésienne. Suite number 2 is an orchestral favorite that bursts its seams with excitement. You will recognize the main theme as a derivation of the Christmas carol March of the Three Kings. Also notice the high wire dexterity from our piccolo trumpet player, played here tonight by Grammy Award winner Bruce Berry. One more time for Bruce Berry and the Greeley Philharmonic Orchestra Brass. "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." And all. Oh, we shouldn't start yet. This is an adaptation by Clement Moore. I always get lost on this page because I'm just so enamored with Bruce's playing. Our next piece is "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." Clement Moore's "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" is one of the most popular poems in the English language. And over the years, there have been numerous musical settings for speaker with instrumental ensemble. Charles Decker's version really puts all 5 brass players through their paces in this piece and finally gives me a chance to take center stage. Ken just said, "Be afraid." Ladies and gentlemen, "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." "'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. Mama in her kerchief and I in my cap had just settled down for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from the bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters, and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave a luster of midday to objects below. When what to my wondering eyes did appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. With a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment he must be Saint Nick. More rapid than eagles, his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted, and he called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all! As leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle, mount to the sky. So up to the horsetop the coursers they flew, with the sleigh full of toys, and St. Nicholas too. then, in a twinkling, I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard of his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke had encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf. And I laughed when I saw him, in spite of myself. A wink of his eye, and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk, and laying his finger aside of his nose, and giving a nod up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim as he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night." Our next piece is Greensleeves, the setting by Ralph Vaughan Williams. Now, legend has it that Henry VIII wrote the immortal song Greensleeves for his future wife, Anne Boleyn. It makes a good story, but it's not likely the truth. Historians place the creation of the tune to the Elizabethan period, after the death of Henry. The music is best known through two settings by English composer Ralph Vaughan Williams, one of which is written for chorus, the other for string orchestra with a flute soloist. This evening's performance with brass is based on the choral version, likely composed in the 1920s. Ladies and gentlemen, Greensleeves. Our next piece is from March of the Toys by Victor Herbert. Babes in Toyland is a light opera or operetta written by American composer Victor Herbert. In many ways, these operettas were the forerunners of today's Broadway shows. The plot is too convoluted to describe here, but needless to say, everything turns out well in the end. The March of the Toys is probably the most popular excerpt from this opera. Ladies and gentlemen, March of the Toys. Well, now's the time we call on the audience for a little assistance for our last two pieces. The first is the Hallelujah Chorus from Messiah by George Friedrich Handel. When first performed in 1741, Messiah was not an immediate success. Handel had previously made his reputation in England with a series of Italian operas. How dare he? He eventually shifted to oratorios in the English language, of which Messiah gradually earned the greatest popularity. Today, the Hallelujah Chorus from Messiah is likely the most popular choral work in the English language. So popular that most choral singers know the words and music by heart. For this GPO brass performance, you are invited and encouraged to sing along with us. So please, we're auditioning for the Greeley Philharmonic Chorus, which doesn't exist outside these four walls. So sing your little hearts out until you're content. Please join us in the Hallelujah Chorus from Messiah. One more time for the brass, because let's face it, they kept you with it. A new holiday tradition could be waking up the entire family by singing the Hallelujah Chorus together, and together next year we are going to make this roof really rock. Now, I don't know if this is a true story or not, but the rumor is why you stand up for the Hallelujah Chorus is because the king had fallen asleep during the performance, and it was so startling, the start of the Hallelujah Chorus, that he stood to his feet, and when the king stands, everyone stands. I don't know if that's true or not. Ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you so much for joining us tonight for the 13th Annual Christmas Brass. Our brass players tonight, on trumpet, we have Madison, Mike, Bruce, and Don. On horn, we have Katie and Lauren. On the tuba, we have Jason. On the baby tuba, we have Dan. And on trombone, we have Terry, Craig, and Kyle. Trying to keep us all together in the back on all those percussion equipment, we have Christian. And the one herding all the cats tonight, Ken Singleton. By a show of hands, who's seeing the GPO for the very first time tonight? Wow, I love seeing all those hands. There might be a special Christmas gift for you this year under your tree, but there might not be. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for being there. But great stocking stuffers this holiday season are tickets to the GPO to help us keep the music alive in our community. We're back in January 28th and 29th, up at UNC at the Campus Commons for the best of Gershwin and Ravel. It will be a very jazzy concert. There's some happy people already, and there will be history made with the GPO that night. You will want to be in the audience because it will last in history forever. I can't tell you what it is yet, but we hope you'll be there at the end of January. We take the month of February off because, let's face it, we're exhausted from the holiday season, and it's a short month, so it's easy to justify not working at all that month. I'm just kidding. We work hard all the time. But we're back in March, on March 11th, with the Burros, the sweaty, full soul and funk band from Greeley, Colorado. The Burros, March 11th, with a full orchestra. It's going to be a sensational show. On April 29th, we're back downtown at the Union Colony Civic Center for a performance of Carmina Burana. O Fortuna. You've all heard that piece, I promise you. 200 singers, 80-piece orchestra, 2 piano, 2 cents of timpani, a conductor, and a partridge in a pear tree. We're going to have it all. And then we wrap our concert season on May 20th, sorry, I was going backwards. May 20th with At the Movies. It's music made famous by our favorite films. It's a wonderful experience. If you missed it last year, you do not want to miss that. Again, you don't want to miss any of our performances because they are this good. And when we multiply this by 5, oh, it's even better. But one more time, round of applause for our wonderful brass players. Our final selection for the evening is John Rutter's fabulous setting of O Come All Ye Faithful, as adapted for the Greeley Philharmonic Brass by Ken Singleton. He's done a lot for us. Thank you, Ken. We appreciate that. If you have a program, please join us in singing the first, all verses that we have, or if you find it in the hymnals, we don't know what page it's on, but it's the first, second, and fourth verse of O Come All Ye Faithful. On behalf of our conductor, our brass players, our percussionist, the entire Greeley Philharmonic family, the board, the staff, myself, we wish you a Merry Christmas and the happiest and prosperous New Year. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.